Madame Web, which for some unexplained reason, unexpected reason, most of it, fits to the core MCU timeline. I don't know what Sony was thinking, that maybe their three Spider-Women will be used later, and for picking Madame Web origin story, sure, why not? I mean, the MCU did weirder, and Madame Web, yeah, she was like originally in one issue, then I saw her occasionally return for brief segments in the comics. Well, I can live with it, so it's not inherently a bad idea. I don't even hate this movie. Get to the point. This is like all those failed Marvel pilots, serious pilots from whenever back ago. There was just from my, you know, suddenly I can mention a failed Doctor Strange pilot, two or three Captain America pilot. There was at I'm not sure if they were pilots, but Dolph Lundgren played the Punisher, that felt like one of these, or David Hasselhoff played, Nick Fury. This is that kind of product which doesn't have enough thought behind it. It looks like a straight to TV movie. The, the real problems are, I just made some quick notes, but it's really just to remind me they didn't accumulate it. It very soon just turned out to be nothing to remember of. It's just things happen, so it's not unwatchable at the very least. And I won't bring up that, oh, the Pepsi sign killed whoever this not Spider-Man guy is, because I, I don't care. Yeah, product placement, even blatant product placement. So what? For Sony, I appreciate their courage to use the Loki series timeline effect here, at least for the first time Madame Web dies. She was only 3 minutes underwater. That's not enough to make you drown. So, especially not to make your heart stop. So that was just stupid, and it bothered me that it took like 30 minutes to get her ability, and even she has to realize she has an ability. Then we established that her ability can change the future, not just predict it. And this is one problem for me, because when she does the tries to drive the ambulance car, there they spent, let's say, 2 to 5 seconds quarreling over it, and we see in her vision that the car, the truck actually, hit the ambulance car's, front, the driver's section. But if they, if Madame Web's ability changes the future, can change the future if she is interacting with stuff, with what she visioned, then that just, the 2 seconds maybe should have influenced the outcome, that the truck should have hit the side of the ambulance, not the front of it. So the driver should have gotten out without major damage, and everyone should have survived without major damage. That's why I'm actually angry for this movie, because that's a missed opportunity. It looked like they delivered it perfectly, then they just, oh, it happened anyway. I'm sorry. Now, what I have my questions is, why are the jungle people white? Yeah, that's one of my problems. That seems, that cultural appropriation, things like blackface or yellow face or red face. That, that I don't get it. Why they don't get involved with the whole shouting out? I don't care. It's comic book movie. They have their own codes. Probably they just have this code so to not get involved too much directly, or whatever you want to call it. So I give it a pass. But I have the question: what's the motivation of Mr. Evil? Let's call him that, because he started the shooting. From the introductory scene, he says he's a hired guard, a bodyguard practically. So he's a hired muscle. And no, I have my family, we are poor, we were poor, and they all died because no one helped us, yada yada yada. That's a perfectly fine motivation. Then get the spider. I don't know why he didn't just shoot the scientist lady. Movie reasons, whatever. But then take the spider's bottle and bring and sell it. He probably has a buyer, sell it for $1 million. Cool, we are fine. What he wasn't being set up as was a scientist. He was not a scientist. He's just an asshole from the street. So why and how does he all this scientific shit he has? I have no idea. The movie has no idea. There is no explanation. And on the other hand, if you just want the superpowers, that was one of the other possibilities, then why he doesn't just make himself bitten? Then go home and do whatever with what he wants with his power. Be a supervillain as far as I care. Or he should have a partner, for example, and then they make this scientific lab and sell the magic cure of the spider proteins, or sell the spider prover to criminals who want superpowers temporary. Why not? Make something useful, meaningful, something with it, which builds up on what you established previously. But they don't, and he's now some mega scientist because he has a special spider. I have no idea what is going on here. And even all with that, the conflict between superpower and money and being a muscle while doing science shit. There is one even more important question, because that's just an introduction for the movie. It's what will happen and why it happens and why. So establishing character, I mean. But we should have established the characters of the Spider Women. I once read some comic book issue, probably, or just borrowed it from somewhere, and it was crazy shit. Some LSD stuff, like one of them could dimension travel, one had psychic power, webs, and the third, whatever. So these are not a bad pick for some Spider World characters. And if you can't have Spider-Man, sure, why not build them? But who are in the movie? We have some idea on what's the deal with Madame Web, but what's with the girls? And you see, the Spider-Women become Spider-Woman in 10 years in the future. So these are just, middle school kids, I think. Even though they hired, close to OnlyFans women to play the roles, then they put them in middle school roles. That's, and they can't even show boobs. So what was the big idea here? I have no idea, but that aspect even is ruined by one of them. The most famous of them went full Nazi with that jeans commercial. Okay, whatever. Going passing through that. So the motivation for Mr. Evil is that this free Spider Woman wants to kill him. Will kill him in the future. Why? That's a big question. That's what would determine this movie. We need the motivation why that happens. Through some vision or, anything. Because we know that Mr. Evil is hunting them now to prevent them becoming Spider-Women in the future, because he did not interact with them as just being just a millionaire. So we are working with a Madame Web-like power. So he is also seeing the future. And he interacts with the future, so that's why the movie happens. But that results in we not knowing why in the future, where he did not establish himself as a willing to these women, the Spider Women want to kill him. And that is what ultimately made this movie a failure. Because it is not unwatchable. The acting is possible on some level. It has some kind of speed, except when it's spending like at least 30 seconds on an opera scene, but whatever. And there are some plot holes, let's call them that, like that national security woman gets killed and they have her access to the national security network indefinitely from an outside computer with a hardware key. So that key could only work in a national security computer. So that's the whole of that is infinite bullshit. But we could pass that kind of bullshit. We do it plenty of times. You know, Thanos idea and the bleeping back everybody is just the most horrendous nonsense when you think about it for 2 seconds. But what's the big idea with the Spider-Woman? Someone should have a discussion in the movie, but it looks like, sure, Mr. Evil is Mr. Evil. He killed people for the spider and the spider power and his empire, but then the Spider-Women are not the good guys. They look like murderers, simple murderers. While Mr. Evil, why, you know, killing some people, in the end, he did it for the greater good.